What's going on, y'all? This is Greg. Greg said it. Back with another evening, nighttime inspiration, motivation. Y'all, of course, we had a late live. Sorry if you came early at the 2 o'clock time it's supposed to be on. But we was about a couple hours behind. And, we had a nice live. People showed up. I guess they got notifications that it was right on time. And we talked about some things. We talked about the whole idea that once upon a time, Shadur was considered the most NFL ready quarterback. And what changed? And, we kind of went down the rabbit trail. We went down the history of Colorado and how my conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it was set up for him to not have the most positive reputation when it comes to the stats, from winning and even some of the accolades. But somehow they didn't stop him from being the Golden Arm winner, Johnny Unitas. And, and I talked about, of course, Cam Ward and that whole situation, how weird that was. I talked about that before and how he became the Joker to his Batman, even though they were supposedly friends and working out together. And it's just interesting when you really look at it and how they interacted and how Cam just went from no one to the number one pick. Even though he didn't really win no championship, he didn't win no Heisman, he didn't go no playoff. He didn't do nothing much greater than Shadur, but he's so great. And all the stuff they said Shadur need to win is like I think it was designed for Cam to achieve, but he didn't. But they still pushed him through number one. I still don't get this. I don't understand that. They call it a weak quarterback class, but Shadur, who was the most NFL ready, ended up being the guy at the back of the line. And it's just like it happened overnight, which is weird. So it's like, what happened? Somebody need to explain that. They need to explain what happened in the interview in New York. And so they need to explain what's going on with that. Like, how do you say that last season, not years ago, and all of a sudden, with no games played, he's no longer that guy. He's no longer the most NFL-ready guy. What changed? Another thing I haven't mentioned is I don't like when they say that, Shadur didn't work out, Cam didn't either. And then it's like you throw up someone, he's better. Like, says who? Like, Shedeur not the only person that didn't work out. Travis didn't. All the first round people, which he thought he was, didn't work out. So why would he think he need to work out when he wasn't working out just like all the other first rounders that he was associated with? And people try to hold that against him, like he didn't, go to the combine. And like, if that's the case, then everybody should have that same situation. I mean, if you just say he's not good enough, since when? Because he was winning. He's the best in his position, like I pointed out. Cam is not. He didn't win the award. Even though he was in the Heisman, he didn't win that either. He won some other stuff, but he's not considered the best in his position. That's usually the person who will sit at the Heisman table. I just find that very interesting when, you hold things against Shadur of not accomplishing. And I think it was set up that way, but I don't think Cam Ward did. But he got that number one spot, even though he wasn't number one in his position. And it really brings home the fact that you really got to know who you are. Because people fickle. I mean, they build Shadur up. I mean, of course, plenty of people wanted to tear Shadur down and say he wasn't this, he wasn't that, and rumors about stuff that didn't happen with the team and over there with his dad. It's always some naysayers from the very jump before he even had a chance to prove anything. When he came from Jackson State, he went to Jackson State. But definitely when he came over, he can't play at this level. And he did, and they still just kept coming up with crap instead of just admitting they was wrong. And they just never, want to face that. So they're going to keep coming up with lies about him and his personality and his ability, because these are the same people who never wanted to believe in him. Unfortunately, you have people like that. You can't appease them. There's nothing you can say or do to make them accept you and see you for who you really are. That's not their goal. You have to understand that. You have to understand the motives of people. And you have to know who you are. Because if you wait on them to tell you, you out of luck. I mean, this guy, when you look at Shadur, has done everything. I mean, he's broken records. He's won. Well, he has the accolades. He has the this. But then they still will tell him, you don't have no talent. you're not as good as these other guys who haven't never been within the arms, not a mile of you. They haven't, as far as their accomplishments, as far as association, ever. But now all of a sudden, you're not better than them when it counts. People say, well, that doesn't matter anymore. He's in the NFL now. That's a lie. Because if it don't matter anymore, then why are they using that to measure him as far as his value? Why are they using that to say, well, he's just a fifth-round quarterback? It affected how he get paid. It affected where he starts at on the depth chart. What you mean it doesn't matter anymore? He has a totally different starting point than the Cam Ward, who's always getting reps in the first round. I don't care how rookie he is. He's not getting reps with the people on the fourth team, the third team. He's always getting reps, and the reps he's getting with people who he expect to play with as the starting quarterback, not Shedeur, because that wasn't the position he came in at. If he was a first-round draft pick, you better believe he would be getting reps with the first team. But he's not. So it's bold-faced to say, oh, that doesn't matter anymore. It's irrelevant what he did, because what he did determines what he is right now, like it does with anybody. When you look at what you accomplished, you look at your degrees, you look at your resume, it's always based off of what you've done. Yeah, when you get there determines if you stay there, but what you've done determines a lot about the opportunities you're going to get where you are as a professional. So I don't know where that foolishness come from. But at the same time, you're going to have to really, really be aware that if somebody don't see the value in you, you better make sure you know, because it's a high likelihood that that person would never see it, especially if they don't want to. I don't know if they want to or not, but I also don't know how they didn't ever see it, all you accomplish. Not perfection, because the point of a coach and whatever is to coach and to help you be better and to put you in your best position. But if you accomplish what you accomplish, and they treat it as if it was nothing, as if it just goes away, it vanished. And now I'm going to treat you like low level, like you're not who you are, you didn't accomplish what you accomplished. Man, that's an interesting thing. And the crazy part, nobody wants to experience that in real everyday life. They don't want to experience that in a relationship. They don't want to experience that on their job. But you treat this entertainment, this sports thing, like it can't happen to you. You're applauding somebody else's demise. You're looking down, you know what they did, but it's funny. But when you accomplish what you accomplish, you want all the perks, you want all the acknowledgement that come with it. You don't want to do something and it don't count. Basically what they're saying is whatever Shadur did don't count. Not only saying it don't matter anymore in the pros, but it don't count from this sense that he didn't put up those numbers either. He wasn't throwing in the mid-70s completion percentage. He didn't do all of that year after year after year. And you're gonna say he's not ready for the NFL. He's not any good. But everything that he did outnumbers the guys that you drafted before him, or the guys you say gonna come out next year or whatever. It's gonna be better than he is when they wasn't better. Unless he's going to get drastically better this year. They wasn't better than him last year, not even mentioned in the same sentence. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. You got to be very careful. You got to know people for who they are. They may not know you for who you are, but you better know them for who you are. You better know them for who they are, because they're showing you. And that's what I say. That people get frustrated and it's like, be positive. But I'm like, hey, man, look at who they showing you they are. Because there's no way I can say this guy's this, that, and that, and that, and then treat him like he's not that. Like, what's true? What's real? Either he's not what you say he is, or he is that, and you wants to gaslight him to think that he's not. And he's showing him his numbers are identical. His performance, how he carries himself is very identical. So you can't say it was a lie. You the lie, because he's performing identically with the same numbers, with the same results in the pros. So ultimately, you knowing who you are, you gonna have to prove it. But you can't base it off of You know, I don't know if you're necessarily trying to prove them wrong. Like Shadur said, you got to prove yourself right. But I'm just Greg said, and make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll be talking to y'all soon.